Hey there, explorers, and welcome. Today, we're going on an absolutely incredible adventure into the wild to figure out how every single plant and animal is connected in this giant, amazing web of life.
And guess what? We're not going alone. We've got some expert guides to help us on our journey. Say hello to the Thunderbolt kids. They are super curious, love science, and are totally ready to help us uncover some of nature's biggest secrets.
So what's our big mission for today? Well, we're basically becoming nature detectives. We're going to investigate a massive puzzle right here in South Africa to figure out how all the living things rely on each other to survive. You ready? Let's get started. Okay, before we can solve any puzzle, we need to understand the world we're exploring. And our first big clue is a word you may have heard before, ecosystem. So what in the world is an ecosystem? The easiest way to think about it is like a giant neighborhood or a team. It's a community where all the players, and that means both living things and non-living things, share the same space or habitat. And just like on a good team, everyone depends on each other to get by. Right, so every single ecosystem has two main parts. You've got your living things, like all the plants and animals, and then you've got the non-living things, like sunlight, air, water, and even the soil. And here's the key. You absolutely need both for the ecosystem to work.
All right, now we get to the really fun part. Let's meet the main players in this big food game and figure out how they all get the energy they need to live and grow.
First up, let's meet the superstars of the ecosystem, the producers. And who are they? They're plants. Plants are so cool because they don't have to go searching for a meal. Nope, they actually make their own food using energy from the sun. How amazing is that? They're the foundation for pretty much all life on Earth. Next up on the team, we have the consumers. And these, of course, are the animals. Now, unlike plants, animals can't make their own food. So to get energy, they have to consume or eat other living things.
But wait a minute, not all consumers are the same. We can actually split them into three groups based on what's on their menu. First, you've got herbivores. Those are the animals that only eat plants. Then there are the carnivores. They're the meat eaters who eat other animals. And finally, you have the omnivores, who eat a bit of both. Think of a baboon who might munch on some fruit one day and then snack on some insects the next.
Okay, you ready to put this all into action? We're going to build our very own South African food chain. And a food chain is just a super simple way to see how energy moves from one living thing to the next. So every single food chain has to start with a producer. For our example, let's take a trip to the Karoo, a region in South Africa. And there we'll find this gorgeous plant, the protea. It makes its own food, getting its energy straight from the sun. Okay, so who might come along and want some of that protea's energy? How about a sugar bird? This beautiful little bird is a herbivore, and it just loves to drink the sweet nectar from the flower. Now, see that arrow? This is important. It always points from the thing being eaten to the thing that's doing the eating. It shows us exactly where the energy is going. But the story doesn't stop there. A carnivore, maybe a fox, might spot that sugar bird and think, dinner. And just like that, we've got a simple food chain. The sun's energy moves to the protea's energy moves to the sugar bird, and the sugar bird's energy moves to the fox. See how that works?
This brings up two more really important words for us. In our little story, the fox is the predator, that's the animal that does the hunting, and the sugar bird is the prey, that's the animal that gets hunted. Simple as that.
So a food chain is a great way to start, but in a real ecosystem, things are way more complicated. It's almost never just a single straight line. It's really more like a web. Yeah, out in nature, you have tons of different food chains, all crisscrossing and connecting with each other. I mean, that fox doesn't only eat sugar birds, right? And sugar birds aren't the only animals drinking protea nectar. When you start to draw all those connections, you get what we call a food web. It really shows how tangled up and connected everything is.
And get this, these connections aren't just about who eats who. Plants and animals rely on each other in other incredible ways too. A perfect example is pollination. A lot of plants actually need animals like bees, butterflies, and even our friend the sugar bird to help them make seeds. They carry sticky pollen from one flower to the next. It's another awesome example of teamwork in nature.
Okay, junior scientists, are you ready for this? You have learned so much already. It is time to put on your thinking caps because it's pop quiz time. Let's see what you remember. First question, think carefully now. True or false? plants can make their own food without any sunlight. What do you think?
And the answer is false. If you said false, you're absolutely correct. Great job. Remember, plants are our producers, and they absolutely need that incredible energy from the sun to make their own food. No sun, no producers, and the whole food chain would be in big trouble.
Question number 2. We talked about the different kinds of consumers. What's that special name we give to an animal that only eats plants?
You got it! It's a herbivore. Just like our little buddy the sugarbird enjoying a sweet drink from that protea flower. You guys are on a roll. Okay, now for a super fun challenge that you can do right at home. I want you to grab some paper and some crayons and build your very own food chain. First, draw a plant you know. Then, draw an animal that eats that plant. And then, draw another animal that might eat that animal. And don't forget the most important part. Add those arrows to show which way the energy is flowing.
So, we've talked about ecosystems, food chains, and food webs. But you might be asking yourself, why does all of this matter? Let's take a step back and look at the big picture to see why these connections are just so important.
Here it is. This is probably the most important idea of the entire day. In a food web, every single living thing has a special job to do. It's kind of like a perfectly balanced tower of blocks. If you pull out just one piece, even a really small one, the whole thing can get wobbly or it could even come crashing down. That's why every plant and animal matters so much.
And that leaves us with one final big question to chew on. Just imagine, for a second, if one type of tiny little insect were to just disappear forever from an ecosystem, what kind of ripples do you think that would cause? What would happen to all the other plants and animals in that food web? It's something to think about. Thanks so much for exploring with us today.